So I'm out today, late January, changing some batteries in my trail camera, and I've been getting a lot of questions on finding fresh deer beds. How do you find deer bedding areas? How do you know where they're bedding? Are you just making this up? No. All right. It's very simple on how to find deer bedding areas. One, deer are edge creatures. When I say edge creatures, right, like where we are right now, I got some fresh beds behind me. Here we have a swamp down below us. Big rolling swamp. These deer are on the edge of this ridge. So when they sit here, just think about how far they can see. Off to the side, we got some thick mountain laurel to where if they sense danger, they can hop into the thick mountain laurel. Coming up on top behind us, we got a flat that, again, if something comes out of the swamp they don't like, they could stand up and just go the other way. They can see easily 300 yards down that way. Behind them, they probably got about 100 yards that they could see, but nothing's going to sneak up on them. Again, a lot of times the wind here is blowing over the mountain this way, blowing into the swamp. So the deer bedded here, they can see 300 yards that way. They can only see about 50, 60, maybe 70 yards tops back here, but the wind's blowing up out of that. So they can see all the way that way, and they can smell everything that's coming behind them. So it's a perfect setup for them. And another thing, I'm 1.5 miles in the woods from any road or house or anything. It's a hike to get back here. So these deer are not completely pressured. Most of the hunters are only 2, 3, 4, 500 yards in the woods max. A mile max for 90% of hunters. You get a couple hardcore hunters that are back this far. And these deer are just not really used to seeing people when they stay this far back in the woods. And this is why some of these deer get giant. But we're looking here. I know right here is a big buck bedding area. I got a couple big bucks back here. But this is a big buck that's bedding right here. We got some very big droppings from them standing up, pooping in the snow. And we got 6 or 7 other beds right here. And during the winter, a lot of times they group up. So if you get a buck group that's grouping up bedding together, a lot of times you pick up sheds all in the same couple beds. And I know their food sources down that way. Whether you believe in baiting or not, you're allowed to bait in New Jersey. I dumped about 300 pounds of soybean, 300 pounds of corn, some food blocks, some minerals. I'm basically done hunting. Season's still open, but I just want to get these deer, I want to help them get them through the winter. And apart from deer hunting, like actually harvesting an animal, I love shed hunting. So I basically made a decision, all the deer in here I'm not going to shoot this year. So I wanted to pile up a ton of food to where they're just going to be hammering it all winter long until they will drop their sheds. So from my food source, I'm about 200 yards away. I got a bunch of beds here. So from bed to food, depending on the wind, they might be bedding on that side of this mountain that we're on. I'd be bedding up over on that side, but I know the area they're going to be in. I'm condensing them to an area almost. But my corn and my soybean is just supplemental. It's not their main source of food. They are feeding all day long. And if you notice where they are bedding right now, right here we have a lot of shrub tips. A lot. And they will feed on this many times throughout the day versus just acorns or just corn or just soybean. They're picking up all these new stems. So the stem count in here is higher. So if I just pan real quick, you can see all these short bushes to where these deer are feeding on. If you look closely up top on these, you can see where they're actually walking by and nipping off all of these newer shrubs. Do a little zoom in here. So generally a good rule of thumb, does need high stem count basically always. It provides good fawning cover throughout here. A lot of this undergrowth that's coming up, you get a lot of deep swamp coverage back in there. And these bucks late winter, they need some thick cover close. They need all this stuff, and up here in the mountain to get a lot of mountain laurel. So they'll be bedded in that, standing up, eating. They basically don't have to leave. All they have to do is drink water, and there's streams everywhere up here. So they're pretty easily patternable when people think it's impossible to hunt these deer on state land, right? I got a bajillion acres back here, and I have 7 fresh buck beds. I have a ton of tracks. You just got to keep walking and do a little bit extra work to get to where these deer are, right? And the people that don't shed hunt state land, you got to just put in the work. I have found some very, very good sheds back here, and I'm hoping to find, hopefully it's this buck Buck's beds that I'm looking at right now. I'm gonna find his sheds this year too. He's probably gonna blow up next year, 4.5-year-old. I think he's gonna be 5 next year. But let me just show you quick this bedding area. All right, we got the one bed I'm standing in here. We got another one or two here. We got a bunch of droppings all through here. And snow is some of the best time to find beds. It's the easiest time, 100%. So you can tell they've just been here a lot throughout this snow. You got some smaller droppings, some bigger droppings. So I'm assuming this might be the buck group, but they don't need to go far from where they're at here. See, another bed, we got another bed, another bed. All this is just torn up. I actually wouldn't be shocked if I found a shed right now if they already shed. Look, we got 2 more beds back there. But you can see they've been ripping apart this side hill, getting at the acorns, mixing it up. They got all this new stem count in here. So they're going from the stems to the acorns, and they're just in here heavily. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we got 5, 6. We easily probably got about 10 beds right here. So you can see they're ripping apart this side hill for all these acorns, and then they're bedding right in all this stem count. So they have plenty and plenty of food in here, and this gives you a little bit better of advantage. If I'm bedded right now, this is about where a deer would be, his head would be. You can just see how far that they can see. Anything coming off that hill up here, they can see, especially 8 or 7, 8, 9 deer here. They can see. There's plenty of eyes out here. So they can see 200, 300, 400 yards in every direction. And a lot of times deer will set up to where one's looking that way, one's looking that way, and they just have the whole area covered. So they can see super far all the way around. You can see the mountain laurel and the pines up here. They're actually bedded, mixed in under the acorn and the pine, so it provides plenty of cover when in all this snow. It's been cold up here. And then you can see they could only see about 50, 60 yards back that way, but the wind's always blowing this way, so it's perfect for them. This is a perfect bedding area. So something like this, I'll pull up an Onyx map for you to see this too. My food's down that way. If they're working this side hill, we got thick mountain laurel that way, swamp this way. So edge, we have an edge here, an edge up here, and this is a side hill. They're gonna work this down into my corn pile, and if I wanted to hunt them, I could easily just set up on this side. Wind's blowing this way, so I would set up on this side of the trail where they walk in, and it would be easy to get on these deer. So using snow to help you guys out this shed season, or even just finding buck bedding areas to help you hunt them, it's pretty easy in the snow. The snow is one of your best tools you can use. When it's just normal woods in the fall, summer, spring, not many times you can find them indefinitely where they're going. The snow, it's just a map to where they're living. Get out in the snow, get off the couch, sure, wear some gloves, wear some extra layers, bring some water, and just get ready to hike. All right? You can find the best sign and the best key to your map and your treasure on your buck just by walking in the snow. Find a lot of sign, and even if you're just a shed hunter, and you're trying to find sheds, snow is the ticket. If I'm coming in here after this snow melts, it's going to be tough for me to find these beds. All right, now I'm going to mark this spot on Onyx, on whatever mapping feature you use, and then if you have trail cameras in the area or you know all these deer are starting to shed, just watch the trail cameras. Once they start shedding, you know this will be a very good spot to check for their sheds. You may find none, you may find a couple, you may find them 50 yards from here leaving their bed in between their food. It's very, very simple. Don't overthink shed hunting. Just keep walking, and if you find 6, 7, 8 spots like this, again, I'm on state land. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 giant piles of poop within 4 feet of me. And if I just look around, they are in here for a lot of time throughout the day or at night, whenever it may be. So just get out and walk, find these spots, mark them on your map, and then when they shed, go and pick up their antlers. But now, when it comes to next season, I know this is going to be a great bedding spot when the wind's blowing this way, and I know I need to be in that stand. So I'm Mike Holmsack with Obviously Outdoorsman. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned even just a smidget of information that you can use to help you find more sheds, hunt bigger deer, kill more deer, whatever it may be, or even if you're just, whatever you are, if you're just trying to learn about deer hunting. I hope this gave you some bit of information. If you like what I'm doing, like, subscribe, follow us on any social media. I'm trying to put out a ton of videos lately. And I'm Mike with Obviously Outdoorsman. This is some great sign. I'm going to check around for some sheds, hopefully see some stuff, and find more signs and develop my map to hunt this buck in the future.